Alright everybody, Portland Chess Shop here to bring you the chess action. We have a chess death match on chess.com. This is Grandmaster Hess against Grandmaster Shankland. They are playing for $1,000. I am really excited about this. Thank you chess.com for bringing this fun chess match. So Grandmaster Hess has won both the first and the second game. He said that he did not prepare for the match, but he seems well prepared. So let's see what happens in this third game. All right, I'm not sure how many games they're playing, but they're playing for 3 hours. And yeah, each player will get, the winner will get $500 guaranteed, and then the remaining funds will be split based on percentages of games won. So I'm going to let you guys watch for a second while I take a sip of my coffee.
A game of chess is like a sword fight. You must think first, right? Before you move. A game of chess is like a sword fight. You must think first, right? Before you move.
So the knight exchanges here. This bishop is pretty strong. So Shankland with white, he really needs to win this game. If he loses the third game with white, then I think that this is just... he's not going to be able to come back psychologically. And, you know, Hess is going to have an advantage as white in the fourth game. So I think that this is a very important match. We see all these pawns on light squares, which means that this light square bishop is pretty weak. And this pawn moves forward. I wonder what that's about. Maybe he's... I wonder what he could do with that. So Shankland is playing a funny setup. I prefer Hess's setup, I think. I think Hess's setup has less weaknesses. Look at all these dark squared weaknesses in this position. And now, yeah, Hess plays g5, controlling some dark squares in his opponent's base. He does create some light square weaknesses at the same time, but I do like this because I just think that there's a lot of dark square weaknesses. I really like this queen on c7. Look at how it is potentially controlling all the dark squares that are very weak. So a d5 move is played, breaking in the center, which seems good. Seems good. So if like takes, knight takes, well, if knight takes, then the bishop's. I wonder if he even takes back with the pawn. I don't think he takes back with the. I think the taking would have been interesting. I wonder what was planned there. So a pawn takes back. Now there's pawn islands. I really preferred taking. I thought that white had some chances there. The knight can't really take back because the bishops get exchanged, and if the bishops get exchanged, then I think that I don't know. I mean, there's dark squared weaknesses for both sides, I suppose, but it seems like this is an important bishop, the fianchettoed bishop, with this weak king position. So I would have liked to have seen an exchange there. I think that this position seems to be a little bit weak. He does win a pawn, but it's a pawn in the corner, and maybe this pawn will fall. This knight does control the b6 square. Otherwise, this bishop could come to b6, but it seems like there could be more important things to matter. Like, look at this long diagonal for this bishop, and look at this long diagonal for this queen. So I see Hess just using a dark square strategy. Here the knight can take, which I think, I mean, that's got to be good, right? You take with the knight. No, you can't take with the knight because pawn takes, the queen's attacked. You can't take here because he'll take the queen. I do think you want to take, though, and now he might have to retreat the queen or something. No, he does decide to take, and the queen is taken, but he pins his opponent's queen. I was telling you these dark squares were crucial, and as you can see, they are still crucial. Look at all these dark square weaknesses in white's position. White is, I think, tilted and not playing at his best. It's only the 25th move, and he is in a lot of trouble. This is a crushing position. He takes here, and this pawn is you know, it is a passed pawn, but it's controlled by this bishop. The rook is just going to retreat, try to mop up this pawn, and if he can get this pawn, he will win the game because the rook is just going to dominate the knight on a big open board in an endgame. So I think that Hess has won this game. Both players have quite a bit of time left, and I think that black, with some good tactics, taking there, taking here, and then pinning the queen due to just the enormous amount of dark squared weaknesses with this setup that white employed. White seemed to be trying to play quickly, and it seemed to have backfired. The king came towards the center, Now the knight is well placed in this position, but I don't know. I still really like Black's position here. If he can win this pawn, the game will be pretty easy. It is true that the knight is good, so he might have some trouble. I think that White has some chances to like draw, for example, if he plays well. But it's going to be on White to prove it, and Black's going to be able to have some options. So in terms of pawns, we see that there's like a bunch of pawn islands for White, right? But there's 6 pawns versus 5 pawns. So there's a pawn for the exchange. But I think that the king's going to be able to come here and take rook takes pawn, probably takes, and then there's going to be 2 5 pawns against 2 5 pawns. That might not work. No, I don't think. I think that he's going to need to keep the rook. He might end up putting his king on this square, like getting his king here, moving his rook out. So there's a little bit of maneuvering required by Hess. Hess is down in time pretty significantly. He's trying to figure out how exactly do I play this position. So b5 I think is a good move, controlling all 4 of these squares, preventing the king from coming in. So in the opening and in the middle game, the king is a very, very weak piece. But in the end game, when there's only like 1 piece left and just a bunch of pawns, the king becomes an attacking piece. So here we see a check, we see an exchange, and this position is interesting. The white king position is better. It looks like Shankland could be better here. It looks like there was no way to really win that pawn immediately, which is good news for Shankland. I wanted to see a good match, and we may see one. We may see this game continue. So the pawn moves up to attack, and this is a king and pawn endgame. So often these games come down to like a single move. Zugzwang is when one of the players has to move, and every move that you make is a bad move, so you lose literally because you can't pass the turn. So that could happen here. Here in this position could be a Zugzwang. It could be that the black king needs to retreat because he has no more squares. So yeah, the black king did need to retreat, and thus the game was resigned.